So third-party risk management is a very important area of risk management. Reason being because every time you undergo a relationship, a business relationship with a company, an external company, you might be exposed to external risk or risk coming from that third party. It might be financial, it might be operational, but it as well might be cyber risk. And this platform, Immune, allows you to see an overall view of the risks where or that you might be exposed to, so you are prepared and you can mitigate them or manage them accordingly. Now, the first very important point is to understand what or who is a third party. Now, a third party is a legal entity that provides you service or goods. Now, this third party might be selling ACs or might be providing to you a digital service. In both cases, they are your third parties. However, the risks that they expose you to are different. Now, when we talk about digital supply chain, we of course want to focus on the increased use of digital solutions, which actually change your risk profile as a user or as a company. So rather than focusing on, for example, vendor selling you ACs or perhaps furniture, office furniture, it is good practice to look at the vendors that are selling to you digital solutions like cloud platforms or service providers that like Amazon, Microsoft, or others. Now, this platform will take you through the whole process of onboarding vendors, but as well on actually monitoring the risk associated. Every vendor relationship goes through three phases: onboarding, ongoing, and offboarding. Those phases help not only to make sure that you address the risk as I mentioned properly, but as well that you are able to monitor the relationship for other things like quality and performance. This objective of the platform is to show you as much automated information as possible. So first you see an overview of the company that we pre-populate. You see the onboarding tab here that helps you to see the checklist or the task that you need to perform in order to properly onboard a vendor. The ongoing, which actually monitors risk exposures automatically. Has there been any breach from that vendor? Has there been any misconfiguration or security vulnerabilities of this vendor? So you can take the right actions accordingly. Now, on the offboarding, the same. When there are basically the projects that you've just finalize, or when you no longer need the vendor or no longer are doing business with the company, you might actually go through an offboarding process. Very often forgotten, this offboarding process is extremely important for the vendor relationship, but as well for the compliance and for your data protection. You must ensure that the data is deleted and removed from the vendor's assets or storage. Now, in general, I would like as well to mention that supply chain risk is very much related to third-party risk. Supply chain risk is actually the potential for disruption to the flow of the goods and services across the supply chain. So when you work with your third parties, they are part of your supply chain. They're providing you specific products or goods, and that disruption might actually cause, for example, your own disruption. So we need to make sure that the risk associated is actually addressed. And you can create by yourself risk scenarios. Those risk scenarios can be across various type of risk that identify specific, for example, compliance, cybersecurity, financial, fourth parties, geographical, etc. And those specific risk type differs from one vendor to the other. The scenario, apologies, differ from one vendor to the other. Now, as you can see here, there's a button report incident. An incident can happen within your vendor, and the best thing is to get informed as soon as possible so you can take the right steps to manage that specific risk incident accordingly. Now, an event is not a risk, an incident, for example, might be a disruption, flooding, a bankruptcy, or even a data breach. So you want to know ahead of time when that happens, and you want as well to be informed of what to do when that happens.